My parents told me I had to handle money on my own, then bought my sister a condo for her 21st birthday. I quietly moved to another state. For years later my thesis was featured in national news, and they found out on Facebook just like everyone else. Have you ever felt a betrayal so deep it completely redefines who you are? For me, it wasn't a harsh word or a public fight. It was a picture of a luxury condo, paid for by the same parents who told me I was financially on my own. And honestly, it was the best thing they ever did. My name is Anita, and I'm here to tell you how my parents' blatant favoritism backfired in the most spectacular, satisfying way possible. From the day my younger sister, Emma, was born, it was clear she was the golden child. I was 3, and suddenly, the world revolved around her. Emma was outgoing, charming, the kind of person who could make anyone fall in love with her. I was the quiet one, the studious one, and seemingly, the less worthy one. The favoritism wasn't subtle. Not even a little bit. When Emma wanted dance lessons, or expensive art classes, or some exclusive summer camp, the money just appeared. But when I needed a scientific calculator for my advanced math class, I was told to make do with the basic one we had. For her 16th birthday, Emma got a brand new Honda Civic, gleaming with a giant bow on top, just like in the commercials. Me? I got driving lessons. I tried to tell myself it was fine. I was the academic one, the responsible one. I aced my classes, earned multiple scholarships, and got into a prestigious university for biomedical engineering. My parents would offer distant praise, but it always felt hollow, completely overshadowed by the genuine joy they showed when Emma scored a goal in soccer or landed a tiny part in a school play. The real gut punch, the moment I truly woke up, came during my senior year of high school. I was stressing about college finances. Even with my partial scholarship, I'd need help with room and board, books, living expenses. Biomedical engineering is no joke. Working a full-time job alongside it wasn't realistic if I wanted to succeed. So, one evening, after dinner, I sat my parents down. Dad was in his recliner, Mom folding laundry. The TV was on, a cooking show humming in the background. I need to talk to you both about college expenses, I began, my stomach churning with anxiety. Dad looked up from his newspaper with that slightly annoyed expression I knew so well, the one that said, "Don't interrupt my evening." Anita, we've discussed this, Mom said, not even looking at me. You got scholarships for a reason. You're smart enough to figure it out. But the partial scholarship only covers about 60% of tuition, I explained, pulling out the financial aid documents I'd meticulously organized. With room and board, books, lab fees. You'll need to get loans, Dad interrupted, his voice cutting, final. Work more hours at the grocery store. You're 18 now, Anita. You're on your own financially. It's time you learn to be independent. On my own financially, the words hit me like a slap. Something cold settled in my chest. I just nodded and went to my room. That night, I applied for every loan I could find, calculating how many hours I'd have to work. The math was brutal, but I made it work. I always did. College was tougher than I'd ever imagined, not academically, but financially and emotionally. I worked 25 hours a week at the campus bookstore, took out massive loans, and lived off ramen noodles and peanut butter sandwiches. My roommate, Jessica, came from a family who sent care packages and money for fun. I couldn't relate. I called home every Sunday, mostly talking to Mom while Dad watched football. Emma, thriving in high school, was joining drama club and dating a boy Dad actually liked. When I shared my academic triumphs, dean's list, research programs, biotech internships, the responses were polite, brief. That's nice, honey, Mom would say. Oh, I have to tell you about Emma's performance. She got a standing ovation. I started calling less and less. Something inside me shifted, though I didn't realize how dramatically until later. My junior year, I was selected for an exclusive research program, working with Dr. Martinez on biodegradable medical implants. This was groundbreaking work, the kind of opportunity that could define a career. I was one of only 3 undergraduates chosen nationwide. When I called home, genuinely excited for the first time in months, Mom's response was lukewarm. "That sounds very time-consuming, Anita. Are you sure you're not taking on too much?" I tried to explain the significance, how this could lead to graduate school, even PhD programs. But I could hear Emma laughing in the background, and Mom kept getting distracted. "Well, as long as you're happy," she finally said. "Oh, Emma just got asked to prom by the sweetest boy. We're going dress shopping this weekend." I hung up, feeling utterly, completely alone. That's when I made a decision that changed everything. I stopped trying to compete for their attention. I stopped calling every week. I poured everything into my research, my studies, and building relationships with people who actually valued what I was doing. Dr. Martinez became a true mentor. My research partners, Kevin and Lisa, became my close friends. For the first time in my life, I felt like I belonged somewhere. I was so absorbed in my work that I almost missed the family group text that truly flipped my world upside down. It was a Saturday morning in October of my senior year. I was in the lab early, running tests on our latest prototype, when my phone buzzed. It was from Emma. "Guys, I can't believe it." Then came the photos. Professional, glossy shots of a beautiful 2-bedroom condo, granite countertops, hardwood floors, a balcony overlooking a lake. New, expensive furniture. My phone kept buzzing. Emma, Mom and Dad surprised me for my 21st birthday. I'm officially a homeowner. Mom, our baby girl deserves the best. So proud of you, Emma. Dad, hope you love it, sweetheart. You've earned it, Emma. Emma, I can't stop crying happy tears. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Best parents ever. I stared at my phone in the empty lab, the silence broken only by the hum of equipment and the distant sound of my own breathing. A condo. They'd bought Emma a condo for her 21st birthday. The same parents who told me I was on my own financially had just purchased their younger daughter a home that probably cost more than my entire college education. I sat there for 20 minutes, just staring. Nobody asked where I was or why I wasn't responding. My silence went completely unnoticed. That's when something inside me broke. Not shattered, but broke, like when you finally stop trying to force a key into the wrong lock. I was done. I didn't respond to the group chat. I didn't call to congratulate Emma or ask my parents how they'd suddenly found money for a condo when they couldn't help with my textbooks. I simply turned off my phone and went back to work. That weekend, I made a series of decisions that I knew would define the rest of my life. First, I scheduled a meeting with Dr. Martinez to discuss graduate school. Not just any grad school, but programs that would take me far from home, preferably with full funding and research opportunities aligned with my growing expertise. Second, I started looking into changing my legal name and address records. I didn't want them riding my coattails when convenient, while ignoring me when it wasn't. Third, I began meticulously documenting everything about my research. Something told me it was going to be important. Dr. Martinez was incredibly supportive. "Anita, your work on the biodegradable cardiac stents has been exceptional," she said. "I've been corresponding with colleagues at several top-tier programs, Stanford, MIT, Johns Hopkins. They're all interested in students with your background. I'm looking for something with full funding," I said carefully, "and preferably on the West Coast or East Coast. I want a complete change of scenery." She nodded knowingly. She understood the need to establish independence. "I have the perfect opportunity," she said, pulling out a folder. "Dr. Martinez at Stanford is starting a new research initiative on next-generation medical implants. It's a 5-year PhD program with full funding, health benefits, and a generous stipend. The work builds directly on what you've been doing here." My heart started racing. Stanford. Full funding. A chance to work with a leader in my field. What would I need to do? I asked. Your grades and research records speak for themselves, she smiled. I'd write you a recommendation letter, of course. The main requirement is that you'd need to commit to the full program and be willing to relocate. Relocate. The word sounded like freedom. I applied that week and was accepted within a month, full fellowship, research assistantship, and a stipend that would actually let me live comfortably. For the first time in years, I felt like someone truly believed in my potential. The hardest part was not telling my family. A part of me wanted to call, to share the incredible news, to hear pride in their voices, to feel like their daughter again. But every time I picked up the phone, I remembered the condo photos, Emma's excitement, and my parents' easy generosity when it came to their favorite child. Instead, I finished my senior year quietly. I graduated summa cum laude with highest honors, but I didn't invite my family to the ceremony. I told them it was just a small departmental ceremony, nothing special. They didn't push for details. The truth was, it was a beautiful ceremony. Dr. Martinez spoke about the future of biomedical engineering, and I was recognized for my research. My lab partners, Kevin and Lisa, were there, along with several professors who had mentored me. It felt perfect, unburdened by family drama. 2 weeks after graduation, I packed everything I owned into my beat-up Honda and drove to California. I left a note for my roommate, forwarded my mail, and updated my emergency contacts to list my undergraduate advisor, Dr. Rodriguez, instead of my parents. I didn't tell my family I was moving until I was already gone. The text I sent was brief: started a PhD program at Stanford. New phone number is, number. New address is, address. We'll be pretty busy with research for the next few years. The responses were immediate, and exactly what I expected. Mom, Stanford? Why didn't you tell us you were applying? We would have helped you move. Dad, congratulations, honey. That's a big step. Call us when you get settled. Emma, OMG, Anita, that's amazing. California is so cool. I didn't respond. I was done with the performance of being a grateful daughter. Stanford was everything I dreamed it would be. Dr. Martinez's lab was cutting edge. My fellow graduate students were brilliant and driven. The resources were mind-blowing. For the first time in my life, I was surrounded by people as passionate about scientific discovery as I was. My research focused on smart biomaterials that could adapt to conditions in the human body. It was complex, challenging work, and I loved every minute of it. Dr. Martinez was an incredible mentor. I also loved the distance from my family, physically and emotionally. My parents called occasionally, usually holidays or my birthday. The conversations were polite, superficial. They'd ask about school, I'd give brief updates. They'd share news about Emma. She'd graduated college, was working at a marketing firm, and was engaged to Marcus, her high school boyfriend. You'll be Emma's maid of honor, of course, Mom mentioned during one call. I'll have to see if I can get time off from the lab, I said noncommittally. The truth was, I had no intention of participating. I was deep into my dissertation research. I sent a nice gift from the registry and a polite card, saying academic commitments prevented me from attending. The thank you note from Emma radiated hurt feelings, but it didn't bother me. They'd made their priorities clear when they bought her a condo while telling me I was on my own. Years passed. I published papers, presented at conferences, and built a reputation. My dissertation research was going incredibly well. I was developing a new type of biodegradable cardiac stent that could promote healing while dissolving harmlessly in the body. Early testing showed it could revolutionize heart surgery and save thousands of lives. Dr. Martinez was thrilled. Anita, this work is groundbreaking. We need to think about publication in Nature, maybe Science. I was in my 4th year when everything changed. I'd been working on a particularly challenging aspect, controlling the dissolution rate of the stent material to match the heart's healing process. It required an entirely new polymer matrix, incredibly complex chemistry. The breakthrough came at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday in March. Alone in the lab, running what felt like the thousandth iteration, suddenly, everything clicked. The polymer behaved exactly as I'd theorized. The dissolution rate was perfect, and the biocompatibility tests were off the charts. I called Dr. Martinez immediately, not caring it was the middle of the night. "You did it," she said after I explained the results. "Anita, you actually did it. This is going to change everything." She was right. Within weeks, we had confirmation that my smart stent design could reduce recovery time by 30% and virtually eliminate complications. The medical device industry took notice. The paper was accepted by Nature within 8 months, impressive for such a competitive journal. The press team was already talking about a cover story. But the real game-changer came when Dr. Martinez forwarded me an email that made my hand shake. "Anita," the email from a Science Times journalist began, "we'd like to feature your cardiac stent research in our upcoming issue on medical breakthroughs. This work has the potential to save millions of lives, and we want to tell your story." Science Times, the one that turns academic researchers into household names. The interview process was surreal. Reporters wanted to know everything. My background, my inspiration, my future plans. I talked about the technical aspects, the years of trial and error, the applications. I carefully avoided mentioning my family or my motivations beyond scientific curiosity. The photographer took dozens of shots of me in the lab. In one, I'm holding a tiny prototype stent, smiling genuinely for the first time in years. I didn't tell my family about any of it. The article was scheduled to publish on a Thursday in October. Dr. Martinez arranged a small lab celebration. Medical device companies were already reaching out about licensing agreements. My dissertation defense was set for the following month, and I had multiple job offers. I was finally, completely, utterly independent and successful beyond anything my parents had ever achieved. Wednesday night, I couldn't sleep. I kept checking my phone, knowing the article would go live at midnight Eastern Time. When it finally appeared online, I read it 3 times. The headline was perfect: 23-year-old PhD student develops revolutionary heart stent that could save millions. The article was everything I'd hoped for. It explained the technical breakthrough, included quotes from leading cardiologists, and featured a sidebar about commercial possibilities. There were photos of me looking confident and accomplished. But the part that made me smile was the author bio at the end. "Anita Martinez is a biomedical engineering PhD candidate at Stanford University. Her research focuses on smart biomaterials." Anita Martinez. I had legally changed my name 2 years earlier, taking Dr. Martinez's surname to honor the mentor who believed in me when my own family didn't. It also ensured my parents wouldn't easily connect my achievements to their daughter, Anita. The article went viral immediately. By Friday morning, it had been shared hundreds of thousands of times. Medical professionals called it a breakthrough. Investment firms reached out. News stations wanted interviews. I was sitting in the lab, trying to process the sudden attention, when my old phone, the one I kept but rarely used, started buzzing. Text after text after text. Asterisk mom. "Anita, is this you? Call me immediately." Asterisk dad, "Just saw the Science Times article. We need to talk." Asterisk Emma, "Holy cow, Anita, is this real? You're famous." Asterisk mom, "Your father is calling Stanford right now. Why didn't you tell us?" Asterisk Emma, "Everyone is sharing this article about you. Mom is crying." Asterisk dad, "Anita Marie, call home now." I stared at the messages, feeling absolutely nothing. No anger, no satisfaction, no regret. Just a calm, detached observation that they'd finally noticed me. My new phone rang. It was Dr. Martinez. "Anita, congratulations. The article is everywhere. NPR wants to interview you this afternoon, and Good Morning America is asking about a live appearance next week." "That's incredible," I said, still looking at the frantic messages from my family. "I'm ready for whatever comes next." "There's something else," she continued. "The patent office fast-tracked your applications. 3 major medical device companies are in a bidding war for licensing rights. We're talking substantial money, Anita. Enough to fund your own research lab. A genuine smile spread across my face. My own lab. Anita Martinez's Biomaterials Research Institute, I mused. Has a nice ring to it, don't you think? After I hung up, I sat in the quiet lab and thought about the journey that had brought me here. 5 years ago, I was a struggling college student eating ramen noodles, wondering if my parents would ever be proud of me. Now, I was on the verge of launching a medical revolution and becoming financially independent beyond anything I'd imagined. My old phone was still buzzing. I picked it up and scrolled through dozens of texts from my parents, Emma, extended family, even old high school friends. Everyone wanted to reconnect, to celebrate, to be part of my success. The irony was perfect. They told me I was on my own financially. And I'd taken them at their word. I'd become successful entirely without their help, and now they wanted back in. I crafted a single response and sent it to the family group chat. Thank you for the congratulations. I'm sure you can understand that I'm incredibly busy with interviews and business meetings related to my research. I'll be in touch when my schedule allows. It was polite, professional, and completely non-committal. The responses were immediate and increasingly desperate. Mom, Anita, please call me. I don't understand why you changed your name. We're so proud of you. Dad, we saw the article says you're starting a company. We'd love to discuss investment opportunities. Emma, Anita, I'm so sorry we lost touch. I had no idea you were doing such amazing work. Can we please talk? Mom, I've been telling everyone about my brilliant daughter. Mrs. Peterson from next door saw the article and said she always knew you were special. I almost laughed at that last one. Mrs. Peterson had watched me mow their lawn for spending money while Emma got an allowance for doing nothing. Over the next few weeks, the media attention intensified. I appeared on Good Morning America, NPR, and several medical podcasts. The New York Times ran a follow-up feature. Forbes included me in their 30 Under 30 list for healthcare. Each article briefly mentioned my background: Stanford PhD student, originally from the Midwest, first in her family to pursue advanced scientific education. I was careful to keep personal details minimal, focusing on the research. Meanwhile, my family's attempts to contact me became increasingly frantic and manipulative. Mom started calling from different numbers. Her voicemail cycled from apologetic to angry. Anita, I don't understand why you're shutting us out. We're your family. We love you. Call me back. Then, Anita, it's not fair to punish us like this. We did our best raising you. We're proud of your success. And finally, Anita Marie, this is ridiculous. You can't cut off your family because of some perceived slight from years ago. We never meant to hurt you. Perceived slight. That phrase told me everything I needed to know about how they viewed the situation. Dad tried a different approach, sending emails about business opportunities and family investment partnerships. Emma's messages were the most manipulative, alternating between hurt feelings and fake sisterly bonding. Anita, I miss you so much. I never realized how much I depended on having you in my life. Please don't let this success change who you are. Then, I saw your interview on Good Morning America and I cried. I'm so proud to be your sister. Marcus and I are thinking about starting a family soon, and I want my kids to know their brilliant Aunt Anita. Please don't let whatever happened between us keep you from being part of our lives. I didn't respond to any of it. The breakthrough moment came when I received a LinkedIn message from someone I didn't recognize. Hi, Anita. I'm a journalist working on a follow-up piece about your family's reaction to your success. I understand there may be an interesting backstory about your relationship with your parents. Would you be interested in sharing your perspective? Someone had been digging. Probably my parents, trying to leverage my success for their own attention. That's when I decided it was time to take control of the narrative. I scheduled a follow-up interview with Science Times. This time, I was ready to share the whole truth. Dr. Martinez, the interviewer began, your rapid rise in the biomed field is remarkable. Can you tell us about your journey and what motivated you to pursue this research? I took a deep breath. I think it's important for young scientists to understand that success often comes from finding your own path, even when that path isn't supported by the people you'd expect to be in your corner. I told the story carefully and factually. I explained how I'd been told I was on my own financially for college while my parents purchased my sister a condo. I described working multiple jobs, taking loans, funding my education entirely independently. I talked about the decision to change my name and move across the country. The irony, I concluded, is that being forced to become independent actually made me stronger and more determined. When you can't rely on family support, you learn to build your own support network. My research mentors, lab colleagues, and academic community became my chosen family. The interviewer was clearly fascinated. How do you feel about your birth family's recent attempts to reconnect following your success? I think it speaks to a common phenomenon, I said diplomatically. Sometimes people only value achievements they can understand, or that reflect well on them. My parents didn't see the value in supporting a struggling science student, but they're very interested in being associated with a successful researcher who's getting media attention. The article, titled The Price of Independence, How Family Rejection Fueled a Medical Breakthrough, was published 3 weeks later. It was even more widely shared than the original piece about my research. Social media exploded with support from others who'd experienced family favoritism or had been forced to succeed independently. Scientists and academics shared their own stories. The hashtag #ChosenFamily started trending. More importantly for me, the article attracted attention from investors and collaborators who respected my independence and determination. Within a month, I had secured funding for my startup company and assembled a team of brilliant researchers. My birth family's reaction was predictable. Emma posted a long, emotional Facebook message about family misunderstandings being blown out of proportion and how she was praying for healing and reconciliation. She included childhood photos of us and talked about how much she missed her amazing big sister. Mom gave an interview to a local newspaper, claiming she'd always been supportive of my education and that there had been miscommunications about financial assistance. She said they were heartbroken by my decision to cut contact and hoped I would come home soon. Dad remained silent publicly, but through mutual connections, I heard he was telling people I was ungrateful and had forgotten where I came from. The most telling response came when Emma announced her pregnancy on social media. The post included a direct appeal, I can't wait for Aunt Anita to meet her nephew or niece. I hope my sister will put aside whatever hurt feelings exist and be part of our family again. This baby needs to know how brilliant and accomplished their aunt is. It was emotional manipulation at its finest. And I didn't fall for it. Instead, I focused on building something extraordinary. My company, Martinez Biomedical Solutions, launched 8 months after the initial article. We secured partnerships with 2 major hospitals for clinical trials, obtained FDA fast-track approval for our smart stent technology, and raised $15 million in funding rounds. The day we announced our first successful human trials, showing a 45% reduction in complications and 30% faster recovery times, I felt a satisfaction that had nothing to do with proving anything to my family, and everything to do with knowing I was saving lives. That evening, I was interviewed on the evening news. The reporter asked about my motivation. When you're forced to rely entirely on yourself, I said, looking directly into the camera, you discover capabilities you never knew you had. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to prove that you're stronger than the circumstances that tried to limit you. I never mentioned my family directly, but anyone who followed my story understood the message. The success continued. Our stents received full FDA approval and began saving lives immediately. Major medical centers worldwide started implementing our technology. I was invited to speak at international conferences and offered positions at prestigious research institutions. 3 years after that first article, Forbes featured me on their cover as one of the most innovative entrepreneurs in healthcare. The headline read, "The Heart Revolutionary, How Dr. Anita Martinez Built a Medical Empire from Scratch." The article detailed my journey, emphasizing the independence and determination that had driven my success. It mentioned my family background only briefly, noting that I had overcome early challenges to build my own support network. By this point, my birth family had largely stopped trying to contact me directly. Occasionally, Emma would post something on social media, clearly designed to get my attention. Mom would sometimes leave voicemails on my old number, her tone cycling between hurt and angry. But I was done with all of it. I had built exactly the life I wanted. I had a team of brilliant researchers working on the next generation of medical technologies. I had financial security beyond anything I'd imagined as a broke college student. I had respect and recognition in my field. Most importantly, I had chosen family, colleagues, mentors, friends, who valued me for who I was, not what I could do for them. The final piece of poetic justice came 4 years later. I was at a biomed engineering conference in Chicago when I ran into David Rodriguez, an old high school classmate. He recognized me from the media and came over to chat. "Anita, I can't believe I'm running into you here. I saw your Forbes cover story. That's incredible what you've built." We talked about our careers for a few minutes, then he mentioned something that made me pause. "I actually saw your parents a few months ago at the grocery store back home. They were telling Mrs. Peterson all about their daughter, the famous scientist. Your mom showed her pictures from your magazine articles on her phone." I raised an eyebrow. "Really?" "Yeah." She was going on and on about how proud they are, and how they always knew you'd do something amazing. She said they're planning to visit you in California soon to see your labs. I almost laughed. "That's interesting." David looked confused by my reaction. "Wait, are they not actually planning to visit?" "David," I said carefully, "I haven't spoken to my parents in over 5 years. They have no idea where I work or live." His face went through several expressions as he processed this. Oh, wow. She was acting like. I mean, she seemed so proud and involved. "I'm sure she was," I said. People often take credit for successes they had nothing to do with. That conversation confirmed everything I'd suspected. They were basking in reflected glory, telling everyone about their brilliant daughter, conveniently omitting the part where they'd written me off and told me I was on my own. It was the perfect ending. They wanted a daughter who would make them look good. And in the end, that's exactly what they got. Except I wasn't actually their daughter anymore, not in any meaningful sense. I was Dr. Anita Martinez, successful entrepreneur and medical innovator, who happened to share some DNA with people who had never believed in her potential. The last message I received from any of them was a Facebook message from Emma last Christmas. "Anita, I know you probably won't read this, but I wanted you to know that I tell my son about his Aunt Anita all the time. I show him pictures of you from magazines and tell him how smart and successful you are. I hope someday you'll meet him. He'd be so lucky to know you. I love you and I'm sorry for whatever I did to lose you." I read it once, then deleted it. The truth is, I don't feel angry anymore. I don't feel hurt or rejected, or like I'm missing out on family connections. What I feel is grateful. My parents did me the biggest favor of my life when they told me I was on my own financially. They forced me to become independent, to build my own support network, to rely on my own capabilities. Without that rejection, I might have stayed close to home, accepted mediocrity, and never pushed myself to achieve something extraordinary. Emma got a condo for her 21st birthday. I got the motivation to change the world. I think I got the better deal. Today, I'm 30 years old. I run a company valued at over $75 million. Our medical devices have been used in over 15,000 surgeries worldwide. I own a beautiful home, drive my dream car, and travel internationally for conferences and speaking engagements. More importantly, I'm surrounded by people who chose to be in my life because they value who I am and what I contribute. My team at the company feels like family. My research collaborators are friends I genuinely enjoy spending time with. Dr. Martinez, who I now call Linda, is like the mother I never had, someone who believed in my potential even when I didn't believe in it myself. Sometimes I wonder if my birth family sees my success and regrets their choices. I wonder if they understand that their rejection wasn't just a missed opportunity to support me, but a missed opportunity to be part of something meaningful and groundbreaking. But mostly, I don't think about them at all. I'm too busy building the future. A lot of people ask if I ever plan to reconcile with my family. The answer is no. And here's why: reconciliation requires acknowledgement of wrongdoing and genuine change. What I've seen from my family is public posturing, emotional manipulation, and attempts to benefit from success they did nothing to support. Real family isn't about shared DNA. It's about showing up, believing in each other, and supporting each other through difficult times. My chosen family has done that consistently. My birth family proved they're only interested in the highlight reel. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, with exactly the people who belong in my life. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't dramatic confrontation. It's building something so extraordinary that the people who rejected you become utterly irrelevant to your happiness. They said I was on my own financially. They were right. And that independence became the foundation of everything I've achieved. I wouldn't change a single thing.